heart this island as God and faith shall live. My hope, my strength, my love, and my loyalty to Oh, green, I love the Indies, Jamaica strong and free. Our vows and loyal promises, our heartland is to thee. Oh, green, I love the Indies, Jamaica strong and free. Our vows and loyal promises,
So your greasy shirt,
white, smooth and colored,
striped, black and checkered.
we gon' give them a good, good rub. We gon' give them a good, good scrub. For it's washed in down a riverside. Hear the water flow. It is washed in down a riverside. Open breeze of flow. The river wide as we been washed out.
Rub, rub, oh,
And the under passes we help with scrub.
scrub, scrub, oh. We no hang up clothes, we no make clothes line.
Close my river bank all the time.
Girls in fine, we white clothes are fine.
Inside my town, yeah, we shine.
It is washed in
Down a riverside.
a pillowcase.
It is washed in down a riverside. Country with this.
We hang one another and we never charge.
Wash small bikini and extra large.
Silk and brown cotton.
Strong clothes and cotton. We wash cookers that have no patch.
Tear up one and some without.
It is washed in down a riverside. Hear the water flow. It is washed in down a riverside. Open breeze of flow. Washed in.
Hear the water run.
Washed in.
Put your clothes on sun.
Washed in.
Have a time to fun.
Please stand for the singing of the national anthem of Jamaica. Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Ambassador Sheila Sealy-Monteith, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Dr. Gary Conneal, United Nations Resident Coordinator, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, other permanent secretaries, members of the Diplomatic Corps, heads of UN agencies, funds, and programs, distinguished members of the media, representatives in academia, private sector, civil society, ladies and gentlemen here and those online, good afternoon. My name is Sanjay Lewis, and I'll be your host for this afternoon. On behalf of the Government of Jamaica and the Office of the UN Resident Coordinator, I warmly welcome you to the signing ceremony of the 2022-2026 UN Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, and that's the UN MSDCF. I wish to pause to acknowledge those who have joined us virtually on the various streaming platforms. We appreciate your time and your attention. The Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, and that's the MSDCF, for the English and Dutch-speaking Caribbean, covering the period 2022 to 2026, is the chief instrument for planning and implementation of the UN development activities towards the fulfillment of the 2030 Agenda. In the Caribbean, as elsewhere, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic aggravated and revealed existing structural vulnerabilities and provides the opportunity to build back better. To address such vulnerabilities, the UN and the governments in the region are committing to contribute to significant structural changes in the economies and governance systems of the countries, and this towards economic resilience and shared prosperity, equality and well-being, resilience to climate change, shocks, and sustainable natural resource management. And of course, peace, safety, justice, and the rule of law. The vision embodied in the MSDCF is for the region, and by extension Jamaica, to become more resilient, possess greater capacity to achieve all the SDGs, and become a place where people choose to live and can reach their full potential. The MSDCF outcomes cover all SDGs, recognizing their interconnected nature, and is guided by the principle of leaving no one behind. Since 2017, the UN and governments in the region have worked with a multi-country framework to be more efficient, leverage regional synergies, and adopt collective approaches. This current document represents the second generation of this framework. The 2022-2026 MSDCF was collegially developed by the 6 UN country teams covering the 22 countries and territories in the region and their host governments. Of course, in consultation with regional organizations, the private sector, development partners, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders. Today, we're here to endorse the fruit of this labor, and we are happy that the government of Jamaica, along with the United Nations, is solidifying their commitment to this process with the signature that will happen here today on one part, of course, by Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith on behalf of the government of Jamaica, and Dr. Gary Keneal, representing the UN agencies, funds, and programs. And the hope is that the MSDCF will serve to help advance Jamaica's own national development. I will pause here in providing background on the MSDCF, as today you will hear from 3 persons who just might know the MSDCF best. Senator, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, who is our Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Dr. Gary Keneal, United Nations Resident Coordinator, and Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica. They will share with us more about the journey to this moment and the impactful potential in this new instrument of cooperation. Of course, I know you enjoyed the University Singers, but don't worry, they'll be back to further showcase Jamaica and the region and the regional cultural excellence that we know of. So first, we'll hear from Dr. Gary Keneal, the United Nations Resident Coordinator. Dr. Keneal brings over 20 years of experience to this position, most of which have been with the United Nations and international NGOs. Prior to his appointment as Resident Coordinator in Jamaica, Dr. Keneal served as Resident Coordinator in Burundi, and before that, as Under-Secretary General for Programs and Operations with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Ladies and gentlemen, unique to Jamaica is that our UN country team, led by Dr. Keneal, has had the task over the last year of leading the MSDCF development process, and Dr. Keneal served as the chair of the UN's Regional Steering Committee. As such, and notably, the MSDCF was finalized and designed under his leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. Keneal.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lewis, for this very generous introduction. Senator, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Ambassador Sheila Sealy-Monte, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General, Planning Institute of Jamaica, Permanent Secretaries, members of the diplomatic corps who are following us remotely, colleagues from the UN agencies, funds, and programs, distinguished members of the media, representatives in academia, private sector, civil society, ladies and gentlemen, here and our guests online. Good afternoon. First, allow me on behalf of the United Nations system in Jamaica to express deep appreciation to the government of Jamaica for the excellent partnership the UN in Jamaica continues to enjoy, and convey our hope that this partnership will only grow stronger moving forward. I would also like to acknowledge that the partnership framework we are signing today is bolstered by Jamaica's continued commitment to multilateralism and its global leadership. Indeed, Prime Minister Holness's global advocacy for increased access to diversified development financing for small island development states will be critical in our efforts to mobilize the resources needed for this ambitious agenda. Finally, I want to thank you, Minister Smith, and you, Director General Henry, for your unwavering commitment to this process, evidenced by the dedicated hard work of your teams over the past year. Today, we see the first fruits of that labor as we begin a new journey in UN Government of Jamaica Development Cooperation. Honorable Minister, Mr. Director General, distinguished guests, the ongoing UN reform has given new meaning to the Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, making it, and I quote, the most important instrument for planning and implementation of UN development activities in any given country. And I am happy to report that Jamaicans were strongly involved in the process leading to the development of the document we will be signing here today. As we researched, Jamaica's academics were there. As we crafted and drafted, Jamaica's government technical teams were there. As we debated on results and outcomes, Jamaica's civil society and your young people in all their diversity were there. Even as we developed and designed the cover and layout, Jamaica's small businesses were there. The result, this framework document is a framework designed and built with partnership, will be implemented through partnership, and is a model of cooperation for which we can all be proud. With the SDGs at its core, this multi-country sustainable development cooperation framework is very much aligned with Jamaica's ambition and priorities. The 4 pillars of the MSDCF speak to economic resilience and shared prosperity, equality and well-being, resilience to climate change and shocks and sustainable natural resource management, peace, safety, justice, and the rule of law. Through Pillar 1, the UNCT will support national efforts to ensure that Jamaica's economy is prosperous. Through Pillar 2, we have aligned with the Vision 2030 goal of ensuring that all Jamaicans are empowered to achieve their fullest potential. Through Pillar 3, we are supporting Jamaica's ambition to maintain a healthy natural environment. And through the 4th pillar of the MSDCF, we will work with national stakeholders towards a Jamaican society that is secure, cohesive, and just. The signing of the framework will be followed by the formulation of a country implementation plan, prepared by the country team with the government and other stakeholders to ensure close alignment to the most recent midterm socioeconomic planning framework and other national policies and strategies. Excellency, Mr. Director General, distinguished guests, the UN country team in Jamaica is looking forward to working with you to create shared prosperity and economic resilience, to raise the bar for equality and well-being, leaving no one behind, to build resilience to climate change and other shocks, and support sustainable natural resource management, to promote peace, safety, justice, and the rule of law. In this, Jamaica's 60th year of independence and its 60th anniversary of UN membership, I am proud to have been at the table with all of you as we pioneer this innovative model for technical cooperation in the developing world. With this partnership framework, we are reiterating our commitment to work with your institutions to deliver real results for the people of Jamaica and meet our collective vision of a Jamaica where those abroad and at home deem this beautiful island as a place of choice to live, to do business, and to raise their families. Thank you so very much for your strong support.
Thank you, Dr. Keneal, and thank you for highlighting the journey. We're happy that Jamaica played a strong role in the process, and it is important that we build with partnership. The Planning Institute of Jamaica has played a critical role in the MSDCF development process at both the national and regional levels. As the main interlocutor for the UN system's work in Jamaica, the PIOJ has been vital in the UN's operation here in country. In this regard, the Director General, Dr. Henry, leads a team of very committed staff who has supported and worked closely with UN and other government colleagues to make the MSDCF possible. Dr. Henry has a wealth of experience working within government, the private sector, including financial institutions. He served in academia at the University of the West Indies, as well as other regional and international organizations, including the World Bank. Recognizing his wealth of experience and contribution to national development, Dr. Henry was awarded the Order of Distinction in the rank of Commander in 2021. I now invite Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, to deliver his remarks. Dr. Henry, the floor is yours.
Mr. Sanjay Lewis, Chairperson of the afternoon's proceedings, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Dr. Gary Keneal, UN Resident Coordinator, Ambassador Sheila Sealy-Monteith, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Mrs. Maureen Dwyer, Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Youth, heads of UN agencies in Jamaica, other representatives of UN agencies, representatives of ministries, departments, and agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You know, given all that's happening in the world now, a gentleman was pumping gas at the station, and as he looked at the price of gas, he just began to sweat profusely and shake uncontrollably. And someone thought, is this COVID that he's having? And they said, no, it's not the coronavirus, but symptoms of the car owner virus. Let me say that the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, takes pleasure in participating in the signing ceremony of the 2022 to 2026 Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, MSDCF. The PIOJ has been happy to participate in the preparation of this very significant program, which will guide the work of the UN for 2022 to 2026. The MSDCF is the result of a systematic process of wide consultations at the national and regional levels, which involved a range of government and non-government stakeholders who can now be assured that the program reflects the inputs provided. This approach to programming mirrors the UN's recognition of the need for agencies to combine efforts and address interrelated issues at all levels. We also interpret this process as the UN's intention commitment to Jamaica's development by creating and utilizing a methodology for increasing the impact of the investments being made. In this 60th year of our relationship with the UN, which also represents our 60th year of independence, we will accept this MSDCF as a fitting gift to the people of Jamaica. Further, we appreciate the UN's recognition of the need for the government's planning process to provide direction, and in this regard, the national planning process through the medium-term socio-economic policy planning framework, the MTF, under the Vision 2030 framework, the National Development Plan, has provided the national perspective through Jamaica's prioritized sector issues, which comprise the MTF. This has supported the close alignment between Vision 2030, the National Development Plan, as well as the SDGs, which themselves are strongly aligned. The MSDCF and the MSDF for the 2017 to 2021 programming cycle was synchronized with the MTF through the Vision 2030 thematic working groups, which became the results groups for the thematic areas. This new MSDCF follows the path of previous frameworks in terms of local and regional consultations, which benefited from the strong participation of the government. Stemming from the consultations, the 4 priority areas have emerged, as you've heard: economic resilience and shared prosperity, equality and well-being, resilience to climate change and shocks, and sustainable natural resource management, and peace, safety, justice, and the rule of law. It is envisaged that the successful implementation of the initiatives under these thematic areas will enable Jamaica and the region to become more resilient, possess greater capacity to achieve all the SDGs, and become a place where people choose to live and can reach their full potential. And that's according to the MSDCF 2022-26. The MSDCF reflects the interest of the UN and the governments of the region to implement a program that is relevant to the needs of the people in the region. And as such, the program is intended to provide a response to the human, economic, and social setbacks resulting from and exacerbated by the COVID pandemic, and to facilitate a process of building back better. The specific intentions of the program include the more efficient use of UN resources, more synergistic relations between countries, better management of natural systems, treating with the most vulnerable, better management of natural resources, improved social protection systems, building safer and more inclusive communities, and increased use of data for evidence-based decision-making, and greater use and access to technology. The Country Implementation Plan, CIP, which comprises the collective inputs of the UN agencies in the country, is a main means of localizing the MSDCF. We anticipate the timely preparation of this document, which will translate the themes of the regional document consistent with national priorities on the proposed biennial basis, moving from an annual CIP. The CIP is also representative of a true collaborative planning tool among the UN, as well as between the UN and the government. The CIP also employs delivering as one modality being utilized in Jamaica, which provides opportunities to identify and respond to the multifaceted needs of development issues in a coordinated manner, while exploiting the comparative advantage of each UN agency. In the adoption of the Multi-Country Sustainable Development Framework, a key consideration was the need for a more coordinated approach to the provision of support to the region, given the common and interrelated areas and issues at both the regional and national levels. It is anticipated that the support provided by the UN Resident Coordinator's Office, the UNRCO, which has been very visible so far, will be strengthened in the very important area of coordination. The establishment of the UNRCO is an important element of the broad reform program of the UN to ensure that we maximize the benefits of the investments being made. In other words, we have to show value for money. We anticipate and will contribute to the development of a robust monitoring and evaluation system which will allow the necessary tracking and measurement of achievements. Additionally, we anticipate a more synergistic relationship with our Caribbean neighbors, given our common challenges. And finally, we wish to express our gratitude to the UN for remaining a key partner throughout the years and for being responsive and committed to our goal of achieving Vision 2030 Jamaica, the National Development Plan, by the year 2030, where we hope to make Jamaica the place of choice to work, live, raise families, and do business. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henry, and thank you for highlighting the partnership with Vision 2030, the National Development Plan, and how important it is for the MSDCF to be part of this process. Ladies and gentlemen, she's Jamaica's first woman Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and the first to be born after Jamaica's independence. She's a champion of Jamaica's Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, and an advocate for the UN reform. Ladies and gentlemen, Foreign Affairs Minister, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, has represented Jamaica and the region at numerous bilateral, regional, hemispheric, and international fora. She has reaffirmed Jamaica's commitment to multilateralism and a principled-based foreign policy, ensuring that it is pursued in alignment with Jamaica's national development goals and the country's role as a global and a good global citizen. It is with pleasure that I welcome the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Honorable Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, to give us remarks.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Mr. Moderator. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, here with us at Kingston Hall and those who are joining us virtually through the various streaming platforms, it is my distinct pleasure to share some brief remarks with you this afternoon on the occasion of the signing of the 2022-2026 Multi-Country Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, the very helpfully known as the MSDCF, as everyone who has to utter the phrase is nodding in agreement before us. Ladies and gentlemen, the pandemic has threatened to erode much of the progress made towards sustainable development. It has resulted in the loss of lives and livelihoods, a severe burden on our healthcare systems, disruption in trade and tourism sectors, and a significant fallout in our economies. Listening to Dr. Henry, we also now know that it has also contributed to the coronavirus. The magnitude of its impact not only therefore underscores the Caribbean's need for this second iteration of the framework, but it certainly gives an indication of the efforts, close dialogue, and coordination that was invested in this process, ensuring that it was completed notwithstanding the pandemic. Furthermore, even as we worked towards concluding this agreement, the pandemic was exposing the gaps and inequalities in our societies, including the lack of or inadequate access to essential services and technology, particularly in rural communities. The unique vulnerabilities of middle-income, small island developing states, like Jamaica and others in the Caribbean, and the multiplicity of challenges and even crises that we have had to face related to the pandemic and economic shocks cannot be overstated. Allow me, therefore, to express appreciation to everyone who has worked so hard to finalize this document. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, Jamaica celebrates 60 years of independence and an equally long association with the United Nations. This engagement gives us perhaps one of the long-standing benchmarks, which speaks to the value we place on multilateralism. We maintain and thereby entrust ourselves to a process that suggests that with a common vision, with shared values, we will indeed be able to advance without leaving anyone behind. I set this as the backdrop and a snapshot of the unique set of circumstances which we have had to navigate as a country and indeed as citizens. Global consultations on the management and recovery from the pandemic have placed reliance on multilateral approaches to bring about sustainable global outcomes. Incomes. No, I'm thinking about revenue, so we're in the budget debate. These realities, however, Excellencies, set the stage for the importance of mechanisms such as the MSDCF that are intended to support countries in our efforts to achieve economic growth and sustainable development. Today, we have a great sense of appreciation for the UN's recognition of the need for the government's planning processes to provide direction. As Dr. Henry has noted, the MSTF, or Socioeconomic Framework, has ensured that we are well aligned and its elements are well aligned and embedded in the MSDCF. For many years, we have been able to speak about the close alignment of our own Vision 2030 with the UN SDGs, the UN Vision 2030. And on that strong foundation, we have engineered year after year to move our alignment even closer to the global target. Another positive procedural note highlighted earlier by Dr. Henry is that in creating this new MSDCF being signed today, the path of the previous framework in terms of its direct, robust, and engaged local and regional consultations was closely followed. The consultations benefited from the strong participation and, when needed, leadership of the government, ensuring, once more, alignment, which is important. This pioneering achievement of a second MSDCF, therefore, gives great credibility to the broad support and even unanimity reflected in the 4 priorities earlier enumerated, but they bear repeating: economic resilience and shared prosperity, equality and well-being, resilience to climate changes and shocks, and sustainable natural resource management, peace, safety, justice, and the rule of law. Again, and I noted to Dr. Kani when he took his seat back beside me, that the alignment of these elements with the goals of Jamaica's Vision 2030 is crystal clear and helps again to build that sense of united purpose, that we're all pushing the wheel in the same direction. Jamaica has always been an advocate of meaningful reform of the UN system to enhance its utility and value to member states. As we look towards deepening our engagement with UN agencies, we believe the MSDCF reflects both the interests of the UN and regional governments to implement a program that is relevant to the needs of people in the Caribbean. Again, although enumerated by Dr. Henry earlier, the specific intentions which dovetail with the government of Jamaica's priorities also bear repetition. The more efficient use of UN resources and, by extension, more synergistic relations between countries. Improved social protection systems with regard to the most vulnerable, persons living with disabilities, persons living with HIV, or children or elderly. Better management of natural resources, building safer and more inclusive communities, increased use of data for evidence-based decision-making, and greater use of and access to technology. Importantly, Jamaica continues to benefit from the presence of a number of very active UN agencies, and we're grateful. A very action-oriented resident coordinator and a strong country team of nearly 16 agencies who we are proud to welcome here to Jamaica. Doctors Connie and Henry, we anticipate that through your combined efforts and those of your teams, we will benefit from a roadmap document which translates our national and regional priorities in a manner both fit for purpose and ready for implementation. On the matter of monitoring and evaluation, we recognize that at the end of every exercise, there will always be a need for us to do self-assessment, yes, to ensure we have value and bang for the buck, to see where we can improve, to identify deficits, and most importantly, to make the next steps better than those we had already taken. As has been enumerated, the efforts being placed towards the development of the CIP will ensure that these goals are achieved. As I indicated, we are now entering into our second phase of operations with this new agreement. We therefore have a responsibility to set realistic objectives and to move boldly ahead based on available resources. With the help of the offices of the various resident coordinators, we anticipate an even more synergistic relationship with our Caribbean partners, given our common challenges and our common goals. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, allow me to once more congratulate and thank all those who served, supported, and contributed to this process and saw it through to our launch today. The challenges we face demand our concerted efforts to create a sustainable path in this decade of action up to 2030 and beyond. The work is now to begin in earnest with all hands on deck. Congratulations to one and all. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Minister Johnson-Smith, and for highlighting that the common vision, with the common vision, we will not leave anyone behind, and the importance of synergies. Ladies and gentlemen, as we invite the university singers to return, we're now about to witness a historic moment. In this, the 60th year of Jamaica's independence and its 60th anniversary membership to the UN, I invite Senator, the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, on behalf of the Jamaican government, and Dr. Gary Conneal, on behalf of the participating agencies, funds, and programs, to execute the signing of the 2022-2026 MSDCF document, which will guide the cooperation between the UN system and the government of Jamaica for the next 5 years. Dr. Henry will also witness the signing. We'll be treated to music by the university singers.
order to achieve, go forth and take it. Set yourself free.
When obstacles in your way,
They fall before you rise.
but if you really want good, you know that's right.
So get up and keep your eyes on the prize. So as part of your plan, you have ambition, and the Almighty One as your foundation. No matter if it's switch, because that's definitely wrong. And don't forget your friends or where you come from. If you a thief, remember God not sleep.
And although you rob a man and you get well last week,
You up a laugh out the street, but you beat the Gwen sweet because Jah is on the river and you know it run deep.
throughout history,
Lots of great men and women,
when about the old-fashioned way,
they just kept on winning and winning.
so
Strive, step up in life and go for what you know. You've got to strive. Remove the doubt from out your mind and let good flow.
be not twice like heart.
From people who think they're witty
Keep moving on, man, you gotta be strong.
and don't indulge in self-pity, but strive. Step up in life and go for what you know. You've got to strive. Remove the doubt from out your mind and let good flow.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for this momentous occasion. Thank you so much, Minister Johnson Smith, Dr. Keneal, and Dr. Henry, and also special thanks to PS Monteith, and also Acting PS Dwyer and the UN country team. Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Jamaica has now joined several of its Caribbean neighbors in signing and endorsing this new agreement, which will no doubt continue to strengthen the ties between UN agencies, funds and program, and the people of and the government of Jamaica, and of course, underscore the commitment to achieve the agreed results. We've now come to the end of the program this afternoon, and I wish to begin by thanking our gracious hosts here at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Honorable Minister Johnson Smith, Permanent Secretary Sealy Monteith, Ambassador Robinson, and our deepest appreciation to you and the team here at the Foreign Affairs Ministry for the warm hospitality and the continued partnership. Dr. Henry, please allow me to extend also appreciation to you and the team at the Planning Institute of Jamaica for your continued support to not only this event, but the entire MSDCF consultation and the development process, and for their beautiful and vibrant representation of our Caribbean culture. I wish to thank the university singers. Allow me also to extend appreciation to the Jamaica Information Service for their technical support of this event, and those online, thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And we want to say thanks again and remind you that prepackaged refreshments will be served adjacent to the hall, and we invite you to join if possible. So sorry that those online can't join, but we will share virtually with them. We will now hear from the university singers one last time with One Love. Thank you and have a good evening. My name is Sanjay Lewis.
join in if you wish.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
Hear the children crying.
One love,
Hear the children crying.
one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinners who has so hurt all mankind just to save his own soul?
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
To mankind.
One love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright.
Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon.
One love,
So when the land comes, there will be no doom.
one heart.
Have pity on those whose chances grow thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the
Father of creation. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright.
Was in the beginning.
One
So
love,
shall it be in the
one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel